The train whistle screamed through the night, a chilling sound that echoed across the empty tracks. 15-year-old Ryan and his best friend, Ellie, exchanged uneasy glances as they stood near the rusted sign that read, Maplewood Station, closed since 1999. "Tell me again why we're doing this?" Ellie whispered, shoving her hands into her hoodie pocket. Ryan grinned mischievously. "Because, Ellie, legend has it that every year on this exact night, the midnight phantom train appears here and vanishes without a trace. And if we catch it on camera, we'll be famous." Ellie groaned. "Famous? Or just missing? This is how horror movies start." Ryan rolled his eyes. "Relax, it'll be fun." Just as he spoke, the air grew thick, and the temperature plummeted. A distant rumbling shook the ground beneath them. Headlights appeared far down the abandoned track, illuminating the night like a ghostly beacon. Then, out of nowhere, the midnight phantom train roared into existence. Ryan and Ellie gawked in disbelief. The locomotive was old. Its iron frame rusted, its windows cracked, but it moved like a shadow, flickering in and out of reality. The air around it shimmered as though bending time itself. Ryan's instincts kicked in. "We have to get on." He sprinted toward the train as it slowed just enough to be tempting. "Are you insane?" Ellie shouted, but she followed anyway. The doors creaked open. Without thinking, Ryan grabbed Ellie's hand, and they leaped onto the train just as it began accelerating. The moment they stepped inside, the doors slammed shut. A train of secrets. Inside, everything was eerie. The seats were covered in dust, and the air smelled of something ancient, something forgotten. Candlelight flickered along the corridor, casting long shadows. "This was a mistake," Ellie muttered. Ryan's camera was already rolling. "No, this is amazing. Think about it, where does it go? Who's driving?" A sudden clang echoed through the train. They both spun around. The corridor stretched endlessly now, much longer than it should have been. "That wasn't like that before," Ellie whispered. Ryan swallowed hard. "Let's find out where this leads." They moved cautiously, peering into empty compartments. One had an old newspaper on the table, dated October 31st, 1999, the same year the station shut down. Another room held an abandoned suitcase, still locked. A feeling of unease settled in their stomachs. Then the train jolted violently. Ryan and Ellie grabbed onto the seats for balance. The window beside them flickered, revealing glimpses of different places. First a modern city, then a medieval village, then stars? "Ryan, what is this place?" Ellie's voice wavered. Before he could answer, a shadow moved at the end of the corridor. A figure stepped forward, a tall, thin man in an old conductor's uniform, his face hidden under the brim of his cap. "Tickets, please." "The chase." Ryan and Ellie froze. We don't have tickets," Ryan said nervously, inching backward. The conductor tilted his head. "Then I'm afraid you don't belong here." His voice was hollow, unnatural. He took a step forward, and the train seemed to shudder with his movement. "Run!" Ellie screamed, yanking Ryan's sleeve. They bolted down the corridor as the conductor's footsteps echoed behind them. Doors slammed shut as they ran past them. The air felt heavy, pressing against their bodies. They turned a corner and found themselves in a dining car, where ghostly passengers sat frozen in time, their cups hovering in midair, eyes locked in expressions of shock. "This place is cursed," Ellie panted. Ryan yanked a door handle. Locked. The conductor's shadow loomed closer. "There!" Ellie pointed to an emergency exit. They sprinted toward it, but before they could reach it, the train lurched again. The floor beneath them rippled like water, and suddenly, they were falling through darkness. A different reality. They landed with a hard thud on solid ground. Ryan groaned, rubbing his head. "Are we dead?" Ellie sat up and gasped. Look! They were no longer on the train. Instead, they stood in the middle of a forest, the train tracks disappearing into thin air behind them. The train was gone. No sign of smoke, no sound of an engine, just eerie silence. A cold realization washed over them. Ryan, Ellie said slowly, what year is it? He pulled out his phone. No signal, no date. They exchanged panicked looks. The newspaper they had seen on the train, October 31st, 1999. No way, Ryan muttered. Did we just? A soft whistle blew in the distance. The midnight phantom train had vanished. But had it taken them back in time? Ryan and Ellie wandered through the woods, their breaths visible in the cold night air. Panic gnawed at them. We need to find someone, Ellie said. A town, a road, anything. They walked for what felt like hours until finally, they stumbled upon a small diner on the side of an empty road. The neon sign flickered. Mel's Diner, open 24 hours. Ryan's heart pounded as they stepped inside. It was as if they had walked into a different world. People in 90s fashion, a jukebox playing an old tune, no smartphones in sight. They approached the counter. Excuse me, what year is it? Ryan asked hesitantly. The waitress raised an eyebrow. 1999. You kids okay? Ellie grabbed Ryan's arm. We have to get back on that train. It's the only way home. How do we even find it again? Ryan asked. A familiar whistle sounded in the distance. They turned to see a flash of light. A train appearing from nowhere, just as it had before. Ryan grabbed Ellie's hand. Let's go. They sprinted toward the tracks as the midnight phantom train slowed. Just as they reached the door, the conductor appeared again. This time he smiled. Ah, I see. You found your way back. Take us home, Ellie pleaded. The conductor tipped his hat. As you wish. The doors opened, and they stepped inside. Darkness engulfed them once more. Back to reality. The next thing they knew, they were back at Maplewood Station. The train was gone. Their phones buzzed to life, March 2nd, 2025. Ellie let out a shaky laugh. We made it. Ryan stared at the empty tracks, heart still racing. That was insane, and I got the whole thing on camera. They looked at the footage. Static. No train, no conductor, no chase. Just them standing in an empty station. No one will ever believe us, Ellie murmured. Ryan smirked. Then I guess we'll have to find it again next year. Moral of the story. Sometimes the greatest adventures happen when you take a leap of faith. But be careful. Some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved.